Hello, digital friends. I'm just going to rant and rave a little bit and about mental health and specifically my own experience with it. So, trigger warning for like severe depression and suicidal ideation. But after work today, I was driving home and I was thinking not the thoughts that like are words, but like kind of the pre-verbal thoughts that one has, and thinking about how like I've been under a lot of stress lately, and in the past I would go through these like cycles of my mental health where like I would be doing good and then I would make a bunch of commitments because I'm like, oh, I'm doing good, I feel motivated, blah blah blah, and then I would overcommit and find myself slowly but quickly becoming just like so overwhelmed. And then it would be like this like pattern in my brain to when I would be like so completely overwhelmed, I would just be like, wow, I should just kill myself. And like, so I was thinking about how like I have definitely, as I've been getting more and more stressed and perhaps overcommitted to some things, I have noticed that almost kind of like desire in my brain to want to go to the pattern that always brought a sense of relief. And it wasn't relief because I was distressed and suffering in that way, but like it was relief to have an answer. And I was thinking about like why the concept of killing myself would bring relief to me. And I think it was my inability to truly accept that I couldn't find peace and stability externally. And so now, after having, gone through like cognitive behavioral therapy and really beginning to benefit from it, I find that finding my sense of stability from within, it hasn't eliminated my desire to find stability externally, but it has made it feel less, for lack of a better phrase, life or death. And so I was thinking about how like I'm proud of myself for not, in a way, giving in to suicidal ideation. And I've been instead handling it when I feel my brain have those like intrusive suicidal thoughts, because if you've never struggled with intrusive suicidal ideation, it sounds crazy. Oh, just don't think it, but it's really hard when you're in it. It's like, the regular intrusive thoughts people have of like, oh, I should stick my hand down the garbage disposal, kind of like that, but those ones are easier to resist in my personal experience, because I'm not sure why it's easier, but like when you struggle with consistent like suicidal ideation, it's like those intrusive thoughts, but like tenfold. Like they're over and over and over, and like, oh, I could run out into traffic to kill myself. Oh, I could take a bunch of pills. All these like things, and it's like I think that my brain would ruminate on it because it found comfort in like the idea of escaping the pain. Because I had come to the realization that peace was not going to be offered externally. It was not going to be consistent. And instead of accepting it, I was rejecting that realization that I had and not wanting to participate in life because of it. And so it's interesting to see myself forming new understandings and thought patterns and even logic and reasoning skills within myself. And that acceptance that, yeah, I'm not gonna get anything I need externally. I have to create it all in me. If I want peace, it has to come from me, regardless of what's out there. If I want happiness and love, it's got to come from in here first. And I think for a long time I understood it conceptually, but I didn't really get it practically. And that's why I really say that like cognitive behavioral therapy like really saved my life. Like it has helped me really and truly not just understand but accept that I'm only ever in control of me. I will never, as much as I may want control of the external, I can plan and budget and all this stuff, I still am truly not in control. I'm just reacting to external circumstances. The only thing I get to choose is what happens in here and here. And so, I don't know, I am really like proud of myself for becoming aware of what has been happening like unconsciously for me, or subconsciously rather, that has like brought about so many like mental disturbances in my mental health. And so like, I don't know, it was just really interesting to me to kind of see, because I feel like mentally I'm operating in a different way, like a different person, even though obviously I know I'm still me and everything, but like I really identified with the struggle of suicidal ideation. I think because a lot of people didn't get it, and so it felt like, oh, well, it must just be a me thing. And so that like perpetuated the idea that that was my personality trait, and that was just a symptom of being me, rather than something that a lot of people I feel like will go through and struggle with, you know? And so I don't know. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my random ranting about it, because I don't know, maybe there's someone else out there that like either is where I was or is where I am now and is trying to make sense of the difference, you know? And so I watched this video the other day about, when we are trying to shift identity, like how we see ourselves, a lot of times in life, we will face situations that offer us the opportunity to go back to the old self. And we can either, like, a lot of people will take that as a sign that, like, oh, this has all been in my head, maybe I still am that old person. But really, this is the test to prove to yourself that you are that new identity that you're trying to cultivate. And so just like having that awareness of that process has made me see it in myself and see that, like, yeah, I had this old identity of someone who just, like, when the going got tough, I would just try to kill myself and give up. And I have been, over the last 5 years, slowly shifting into a new conscious, like, identity of who I am. And that's because I don't want to be that person. I never wanted to be that person, but I definitely believed that I was that person. And since undergoing like cognitive behavioral therapy for years, like, I've realized that identity is something we get to choose. We get to choose what we believe about ourselves, but we have to be aware of it first. And so that's the hard part, is becoming aware of the subconscious beliefs we have about who we are. And I've kind of been doing this with like money, for a long time, and even still, I'm working on this part, like seeing myself as someone who's poor. Because when I was 18, I became homeless. I had literally no money. I was poor, and so I could not deny that fact. But then I have felt like even since transitioning back into a home and like working a job, I've struggled with scarcity and scarcity mindset. And I really have been operating under the belief that I will always be poor. And so I have been trying to consciously change that part of how I see myself, and switching to I guess, like, prosperity abundance mindset, like, not, oh, I want to have a bunch of money and be rich, but I want to identify as someone who has faith that all my needs will be met, and that even if I don't see how to do it, I will figure it out, or something will happen and be provided for me, and I will always have what I need, even if I don't have a shit ton of money, And so I think in that journey for me too, I have been experiencing like financial hardship, and it's not because I'm wrong or lying to myself about being someone who will always have their needs met. It's about the universe testing me to see if that is really who I'm going to identify as, or if I'm going to slip back into that identity of scarcity. And I know this kind of sounds all like mumbo jumbo bullshit, but I don't know. It's been helping me. And so I think at the end of the day, if it's not hurting anyone or myself, what's the fucking big deal if it's not like scientifically backed or logical? Uh, and I think too, my own journey into like really accepting that I have a spiritual aspect of my being, that's been the hardest part. Is it doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't have tangible results necessarily, and it doesn't necessarily make it any less real either, because I have this almost inexplicable sense of peace that I've been cultivating, even when everything around me is saying that like I should be really stressed out. And you know, obviously I'm human, so like I do still go back to that. But ever since I had my like epiphany moment, I am able to remind myself that like this is the test. And even if there's not some, you know, design or plan of the universe testing me, having that as a concept in my head is what motivates my resiliency, if that makes any sense to anyone but me. But like having that mindset of like, okay, it's rough now, and this is my opportunity to cultivate inner peace despite the external turmoil, if that makes sense to people. I know I keep saying if that makes sense. Maybe no one will understand this or agree, and that's okay. This is just kind of for me anyways. But yeah, I overall, like, even though there's a lot of stressful things happening in my life right now, and I am worried, part of me is worried that I bit off more than I could chew with all these different fundraising groups and opportunities and events and everything, while also still trying to pick up more hours and work my like pet services job as well. Still, it's a lot, but I am aware now that in my previous patterns, I have allowed stress and overcommitment to almost sort of justify to myself that slump in my mood and motivation, to be like, oh, look, you never like could do this anyways, you're shit, blah 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 blah. And it's really interesting with the awareness that like what we believe we will find proof of, you know, that's cognitive bias. And so then switching our beliefs, we expect that we'll be given, you know, proof of our new identity, but instead we are given proof of the old identity to show that the new identity has stuck, if that makes sense. And it probably fucking doesn't. I'm just rambling. But I don't know. It was just a lot to think about, and I'm glad that I'm doing better, and I don't want to identify as that person who goes through those mental health struggles anymore. I want to continue my upward curve in mental health, rather than the sine wave or whatever I was doing. And yeah, I'm just babbling and rambling, but it feels good. And so taking all of this conceptual, spiritual, mental health talk and making it practical, I think just like when I feel myself feeling like so overwhelmed, giving myself permission to be like, okay, I need to take a break because I see where this could go. I see that route where I just go down and then I want to kill myself, and I think that all my progress was fake. And instead I can say, okay, this is one of those lulls, those tests, those opportunities to prove to myself that I can be that new identity that I'm cultivating. And so that alone has really helped further my own commitment to the changes that I want to make. And again, even if it's all bullshit, it is having tangible effects in my life, you know, like I am picking up more hours at work, I am making more money, I am expanding my own like businesses, I am making more art, I am getting more like quality time with the people that I love, and I am literally like helping raise money for all the kids, that want to go to space camp with my son, and for the 5th grade party and stuff like that. Like, it is having real world results. Not immediately, but slowly. And I can keep it steadily if I continue to give myself grace in those low points, rather than taking the low points and the regressions as a sign or whatever that I'm like not good enough and not able to do all the things that I am trying to do. Specifically because I've been thinking about too, like, how the last time I went to college, after I'd earned my first associate's degree in art, I attempted to get another associate's degree in accounting because I'm pretty like naturally skilled with numbers. They just make sense to me. Math is an easier language for me to speak than English because of however my brain works. And so I finished the first semester, but I did not finish I finished the first year and a half, but I did not finish the second semester of the second year. So I'm a semester away from an accounting associate's degree. And the thing is, like, I tried to kill myself multiple times throughout that schooling period of my life. And there was a lot of other factors at play of stress and everything, but like, I used that to kind of prove to myself that I wasn't capable of accounting. Even though I know that I am very capable of the actual task. I am capable of the number crunching and all of that, and the spreadsheets and everything. But I don't know, it's just interesting to look at it with hindsight and awareness to see, like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of. When you have those doubts and you don't face them and you try to ignore them, then they poke through to try and see if you will believe in the doubts themselves, And like, I don't know, the human psyche's fucking weird. But I'm sure everyone knows that already. I don't know. So I'm trying to not let myself continue that pattern and cycle. And I really have not been struggling in the same way that I used to with suicidal ideation. Sure, my brain, I think just because of like how many times that neural pathway has fired, it's like kind of a go-to still. Like, first sign of trouble, my brain's like, oh, you should just kill yourself, get it over with, we're done. But I'm getting to a point where I can be like, hey, I see that this is happening, and now I'm going to consciously redirect it elsewhere. And it makes me think, too, of this book that I read a while back by Dr. Carolyn Leaf about retraining the brain. And she gets into the whole, like, physiological side of it, which I found very interesting. Like, I love science. I'm not very good at it, but I love it. I think because I'm not good at it, it intrigues me. I'm like, it's magic. But, yeah, I don't know. So I'm working on rebuilding and reshaping neural pathways. It doesn't mean that I stop what's already been trained into my brain. It means that I take it, accept it, not fight it, don't feel shame over it, and I move it somewhere else. I wind it away, like, into another thought. So, like, for example, like, when I've been having these thoughts of, like, oh my god, I bit off more than I could chew, and I'm such an idiot, I'm so stupid, I've been able to, like, stop myself and be like, look, you're not stupid, you were feeling better, and so you felt motivated to take on more. And so, yes, I may have overcommitted to things, but that doesn't mean that I'm dumb or worthless or not capable. It just means that I have to now be more conscious and aware of everything that I need to do. I need to maybe plan better, write more things down so I can keep track of it better and it's not all just swirling in my head. And I need to also allow myself to have those breaks when I am physically experiencing, like, too much in my nervous system, And so, yeah, my goals for myself are really just to have more grace and patience with me and keep rerouting those intrusive, like, suicidal thoughts. And it has been, honestly, a little tough switching to monthly therapy. I'm not gonna lie, I miss weekly therapy, but I I also know that when I was doing, like, the last few months of weekly therapy, there, like, wasn't a lot to share because I was doing pretty good. And I was handling things without, like, the need for intervention from a mental health professional, which in itself is kind of unnerving because I'm like, are we sure that we don't need, like, a professional every week? Because I feel crazy half the time. I'm half joking, but I don't know. I think that if I'm being really honest with myself, I'm actually doing really good. And that's weird to admit to myself because for so long, my inner talk has just been like, wow, you suck and you're shit and you're not good at anything and you are a fraud and an imposter at anything you do good, you know? And so changing that inner self-talk is really, it's weird, but it's good. And I do want to point out too, like, to anyone who is on a similar path to me, wherever you're at in the journey, ending the self-deprecating jokes helped a lot. Because even though I knew they were jokes, there was always that bit of me that was, like, serious about it. Like, whenever I was making jokes about how terrible I was, like, it was funny, and that's why it was a joke, but there was a piece that it was real to me, you know? And so, I really have been trying to not make self-deprecating jokes and find my humor elsewhere. You know, when your humor comes at the expense of yourself or others, is it really even that funny? But yeah, I've been talking for 21 minutes now, so I will get off here because I'm probably gonna run out of freaking space on my phone anyways. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base and babble for a bit. So thanks to anyone who watched my nonsense, and I hope that if you're struggling, like, things go better for you. And it's not going to be because of anything external, it's going to be because of a choice you make. Because you are the only one in control of your thoughts and actions. And, like, I know that's a really scary thing to accept, because if our lives are shit, to accept that we're in control of how we think, speak, and act, we have to also accept that we're responsible for our shit life. And that's really hard. And you have to have humility, and it's going to hurt your ego to accept that all the problems in your life exist because of you. And, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, you're responsible for all the systemic racism and misogyny, you know, but, like, you are responsible for how you deal with it. Only you get to choose, you know, like, because even with myself, like, yeah, the political landscape is terrifying to me, in all honesty. But I get to choose whether I am, like, sitting on TikTok for 3 hours just, like, getting more and more nervous and, like, crying and having a fucking nervous breakdown, or if I take what I need, you know, from whatever pertinent political news, I get a little bit of it, and then I'm like, okay, this has me up to here, so I'm gonna go outside and look at flowers, or, like, make a painting about it, you know? I get to choose that, and so I have been. And it's up to you to find what works for you, what helps you re-regulate your nervous system, and learning how to be aware of when you need that regulation. So yeah, again, I'm gonna hop off here. I hope that everyone has a good day today, and finds a way to choose something that makes you feel in control of yourself, you know? Alright, I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for anyone who listened. Probably no one, but alright, bye.